Yo, what's up, guys? It's Screwball's MMA here, and we're gonna be breaking down UFC 322, Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev, and we're going starting at the early prelims here with Vyacheslav Borshev versus Matheus Camilo. Vyacheslav Borshev I I think this just comes down to I don't think Vyacheslav Borshev is UFC level. He has power in the hands for sure. Sorry, let me center this up a bit. Um, He has power in the hands, but in terms of like actual skill on the feet in kickboxing, he's really not that high level. He has decent power, so he can maybe catch Matheus Camilo. I don't rate Matheus Camilo that highly either, but at the end of the day, when Borshev gets taken down, he really has nothing off his back, and he doesn't have good takedown to begin with. Takedown defense 42%. So not great, right? 42% is pretty bad. I know why I'm saying not great. It's pretty bad. Um, and I just think Matheus Camilo is going to be a bit better. He's a bit more well-rounded, and I just think he's going to get this one done 29-28. Maybe Vyacheslav Borshev has a good round one, but maybe not. Anyway, I'm going with Matheus Camilo to get this one done by decision 29-28. Next fight, Susakayev versus Eric McConaughey. I think this is pretty, generous matchmaking by the UFC for Susakayev. I think Susakayev's going to just put him out clean on the chin in the first round. I just think Susakayev, he is very reckless on the feet, and he can get caught. We saw that in his fight with Tom Nolan, I believe. Yeah, Tom Nolan. Or Eric Nolan, sorry, not Tom Nolan. Way off. Completely different weight class. So it's all good. It's all good. I did that out. But anyway, Eric McConaughey, I just don't think he's that good. I don't think he beat Cody Brundage. He got smoked immediately by Ruzaboyev. So I just think there's kind of stat padding Suzarkaev, get him on a bit of a win streak before, he faces any higher level comp. Uh, but really, yeah, that's kind of it. Like Suzarkaev is just gonna knock him out. I don't have much to say about this fight. It's pretty it's just pretty cut and dry if I'm gonna be honest. Next up, Angela Hill versus Fatima Klein. Now this could be one of the, Angela Hill upset wins, but I am going to go with Fatima Klein. She's a bit more uh, youthful, and she has a lot more times on her side. She's just a bit more athletic. She'll be faster. I think she'll be stronger. But Angela Hill is good, and I know this is a really ugly record of 18 and 15, but I would say there's a lot of them that just should have gone her way that didn't. Like, she could easily have a significantly better looking record, and she's a veteran. She has experience. So I do think that maybe Angela Hill actually does have a chance in this matchup. And I'm going to still lean Fatima Klein, but I'm going to do it by like 29-28, potentially split decision. Uh, it's kind of just what it comes down to is the experience versus the youthfulness, and she's Fatima Klein's green. Like, she's not bad. I don't think she's going to be anything really special at strawweight, but I do think she'll make it up the rankings. So I am going to pick her to beat Fatima Klein by decision. Next up, Pat Sabatini versus Chepe Mariscal. Now this is actually like a fight I don't care about, if I'm just going to be completely honest. But I am going to pick Chepe Mariscal to get this one done by decision. I do think he's just kind of better. I don't know. These guys are both kind of jobbers, if I'm going to be honest. Pat Sabatini, though, I will give him his credit for the Johanderson Brito win. I really thought Brito was kind of going to destroy him, and I thought he was significantly better than he was. But, Pat Sabatini's kind of a win one, lose one fighter, and he is coming off a win, so that means I'm going to pick him to lose. um, he's actually coming off 2 wins, but, it is what it is. Yeah, I'm going to pick Chepe Mariscal. I just think that Chepe Mariscal is a bit better. I do think, however, it was a close fight, and I do think Morgan Charrier is pretty good. I think he got robbed pretty badly in that fight. So I know it shows that he's on a 3-fight win streak, but I really don't think he should be. And he doesn't. Chepe Mariscal doesn't really have much power that I would normally, be very lenient to just put down Pat Sabatini. But I am still going to pick him to get this one done by decision 29-28. Next up, Kyle Dawkins versus GM3. Now, Kyle Dawkins, he's coming off a crafty little win. I didn't think he was going to beat Michel Pereira, although I'm not mad about it. Just say that. And, GM3 has looked really bad in these fights. And, you know what they say, when GM3 looks terrible, that's when you pick him by round 3 submission. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick GM3 to get this one done by submission in the 3rd round after losing 2. He's going to get dropped in round 1. So if Kyle Dawkins sleeps him in the 1st round, I'm not fully wrong. I'm going to fence it, However, I will still pick GM3 to get this one done by submission. Next one, I don't want to elaborate on it. Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cody Haddon. This is a banger. This is a banger. I'm going to pick Malcolm Wellmaker, but I think a lot of casual people are going to pick Malcolm Wellmaker by KO. I'm going to pick him by decision. I think Cody Haddon's very good, and I could see Cody Haddon getting this one done. I do think that I don't know. Like I just have a feeling here that it's going to be one of those back forth fights where the casuals are going to say, "Oh, Welcome Wellmaker's not that good," when I just think it's going to be Cody Haddon that is actually that good. But I rate Malcolm Wellmaker. I do think maybe the inexperience in the grappling could pose a problem because Malcolm Wellmaker, if you guys didn't know, he only started training at the age of I believe 21 or 22. So that's fairly older. He definitely has one-shot power, and I do think he's going to drop Cody Haddon in round 1. But I think Cody Haddon's just going to be able to do enough to get back into the fight. Maybe he grabs a leg and stalls it out. And I think maybe we're going to see Malcolm Wellmaker slow down and his power kind of deteriorate in rounds 2 and 3. So I think it's going to be a close round 2 and then round 3 for Cody Haddon. So I'm going to pick Malcolm Wellmaker to get this one done by decision. Next up, Aaron Blanchfield versus Tracy Cortez. Upset alert. I'm picking Tracy Cortez. I think a lot of people almost underrate Tracy because of her looks. And a lot of people are also going to play the MMA math of the Rose Namajunas. Tracy Cortez was coming on short notice. And that was a striker. I think Tracy has good takedown defense, and she has a good anti-grappling and be able to scramble on top. And Tracy is a pretty big flyweight. She obviously almost missed weight against Rose Namajunas, but I do think that she's very physical, and I do think she'll be able to stuff Aaron Blanchfield's takedowns, kind of like the Manon Fiorot fight, but I just think it's going to be a more close version of that fight. So I think Tracy has a bit more power in the feet, doesn't really equate to anything, and I think her striking's better. So I think it's going to start Aaron Blanchfield's moving forward, trying to wrestle, grab the legs, get takedowns. Maybe she grabs a few, but I think kind of as this fight goes on, we saw Tracy actually show good cardio in the Rose fight. She looked good in the 5th round of that fight, and she looked very good in her last fight. So I know this is a very unpopular opinion to pick her, but I actually think that she's gonna win. I just have a feeling. I think maybe because Tracy's good looking, come holla at your boy if you're watching this. But I think that they maybe think that her heart's not in the game, which I could see, especially because a lot of people are saying because of the eyelash. But if you see, they're actually they're glued on. It's not like a sticky. It's whatever. I'm picking Tracy Cortez. All right. Next up, Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodriguez. Now, as the official Roman Kopylov fraud watch, I picked Fluffy and I picked Costa. That's all I'm saying. I think he's going to win this fight, and I think he's going to do it by TKO in round 3. Gregory Rodriguez, he has power. We all know he has power, but his chin isn't that good, and he slows down. He gets blood in those muscles because he's just swinging huge shots like in the Cannonier fight, in the Bruno Ferreira fight. And I'm going to pick Roman Kopylov to get this one done. I think he's going to TKO him in the round 3 with a straight left. I think he's just going to bomb it down the middle. I don't think RoboCop has the tools that Costa used. Costa was blasting that body kick. Gregory has good kicks, but his punches are kind of where the power's from. And I don't think if he tries to play that kicking game, I think he's going to get countered with straight shots down the middle. So I am going to pick Roman Kopylov to get this one done. I think this might be another underdog pick. I'm not too sure what the odds are on this fight. I would assume they might have Gregory as the favorite here. But I'm going to pick Roman Kopylov to get this one done by TKO in the 3rd round. Next up, Bo Nickel. Bot Nickel versus Rodolfo Vieira. This guy's, I saw him betted, dude. This guy's hiking, all right? You know, yeah, I'm really excited for this matchup. Rodolfo Vieira, he's a big test for me. He's got good jiu-jitsu, and, I think I'm going to take some creatine, and I'm going to, take a hike, and I'm going to, have some smoothies, and I think we're going to get this one done by knockout. I really think I can catch him on the chin here, and the thing is, I just don't think Rodolfo Vieira's grappling is that good in MMA. We saw Chris Curtis, I do think he's a bit underrated as a UFC level fighter. But at the same time, he's very small, and he was able to just completely nullify all of Vieira's grappling and just kind of touch him up on the feet. Really is what it was. We saw Fluffy Hernandez pretty easily just cardio mog him and submit him, which, I understand Bo Nickel can't cardio mog anyone. However, I do think he's got good enough takedown defense to just nullify Vieira, and I think if it's on the feet, I do think Bo Nickel can catch him on the chin and put him out. So this is actually still a tough fight for Bo Nickel, but I do think he's going to knock him out in round 1. Maybe round 2, but I think he's going to knock him out in round 1. All right, moving on to the main card. Benny Boy Dariush versus Benoit Scamdeniz. And with that being said, I'm picking Benoit Scamdeniz to knock him out in the 1st round. I think Benil's the more technical fighter. I think he's more skilled in striking and in grappling. I really think that he is the much more skilled, better fighter. But we see when someone pressures him with power on the feet in the 1st round, he crumbles, he breaks, and he gets finished. The Armand fight, and even the Moicano fight, I know he won, but that round 1, and I know Benoit got smoked in the 1st round too, but that was via ground and pound and grappling. But on the feet, Benil was kind of just getting his head pinged around, really, is what it was. And I do think I think Benoit's good, and I think he has power, and he has good pressure. I don't think the body kick will be as prevalent because they're both southpaws. I believe they'll be open stance fight. So that rear body kick that Benoit really used against Rufy will be just a really kind of nullified weapon in this matchup, but I do think he's kind of just going to walk him down with hooks, and I think he's going to drop him and finish him in the 1st round. If this fight goes long, I can see Benil, edging out a decision here because he is much better on the ground. I think if he gets Benil down, or if he gets Benoit down, if Benil gets Benoit down, he will be able to control him. He will be able to get some mission attempts off, and maybe even get a finish and land ground and pound. We saw that Moicano does have really good ground and pound, but we saw that Benoit really had nothing off his back when he started getting punched. So I'm going to, I'm going to pick Benoit to get this one done in the 1st round. I hope Benny pulls it off, but I really don't see it. Will you believe me, son? Leon Edwards versus Carlos Praches. I smoke cigarettes, and I think that's what Carlos going to do. He's going to smoke them. However, if you are a degenerate gambler, do not bet on Carlos Prates to win this fight. Carlos Prates, the odds have swelled heavily, and I understand the reasoning behind it, but Leon is good, and this isn't the style that we've seen give Leon problems. The pressure grapplers. We really haven't seen Leon against a striker in a number of years, really pre-championship level, so we really don't know how good Leon's striking is versus another good striker. I know he got clipped by Nate Diaz in the 5th round, but that was more of a cardio thing. He's kind of gassed and got clipped to the 1-2. So I do think Leon actually has a good chance in this matchup to get a win with grappling and with striking. I do think Leon's technically, he is a better striker than Carlos Prates, But something when he's in the cage, like he just can't get off. Like you see videos of this guy in training, hitting the pads. Like his technique is so perfect, and he's almost technical to a fault. We saw this in the Bilal fight when he got top position at the end of the fight. He's framing with his head instead of trying to land ground and pound when Bilal was essentially done. Like he was pretty much out of that fight going into the end, and he really just didn't push it. But with that being said, Carlos Prates has a lot of momentum where Leon's kind of just dead flat coming off that Brady loss. So I think Prates. Oh, sorry, guys. I think Prates is just going to catch him with a straight left hand down the middle, and he's going to sit him down. In end of round one, maybe mid round two, I do think Leon will be winning until he's not in this matchup. I think the stance switches of Leon can help him in this matchup. If he goes to southpaw, it'll maybe help with that straight left of Prates. That is by far his best weapon. I just don't see it. He's just looked too bad and too drained in his last two losses. But as I said, if you are a gambler, please don't bet on this fight. Has nightmare upset written all over it. With that being said, Carlos Prates by KO. Next up, Sean Brady versus Michael Morales. I'm picking Sean Brady by decision. I don't think Michael Morales is very good in the early rounds, even though I know he has a round one win over Gilbert Burns. Check AI was rigged. I think we got to do a little UFC look into that. I think that was rigged. Gilbert's washed. Anyway, Sean Brady. I think he's just gonna maul him in the grappling until he's not. I'm not picking Michael Morales, but I think in round three, Michael Morales is going to land an absolute bomb of an overhand, and I think he's going to put Brady on straight ice, like jello legs, wobbling around like Bambi legs all over this octagon. However, I just don't think it's going to be enough. Like, I think Sean Brady will clearly win the first two rounds. I think he could have like 9 minutes of control in the first two rounds. And then he's going to get jelly legged in round three. I think he's going to be able to hold and kind of stall through a third round. And then he's going to get a decision win 29-28 across the board. And I just think Michael Morales, just early, he's very hittable. Like, I think we're going to see round one, Sean Brady land his little Juliana Pena combinations, walking forward. Ping, ping, ping. Oh, he's kind of tagging up Michael Morales. It's not going to do any damage to Michael Morales, but I think Sean Brady's faced higher level comp. Looked better against lower level comp like Michael Morales. I know Trevin Giles always does this to every fighter he fights. He looks good until he doesn't. But Trevin Giles, I think I could pull up a few more here if you guys want. Just him, I could throw just a little montage of him getting tagged up in early rounds, like round one and two. Which kind of just what it comes down to. Gets pinged around a lot. Max Griffin is just really like not a high level fighter, and Adam Fugit to just like tag him up as much as he does. He doesn't have very good defensive striking. So I do think Sean Brady's going to get a comfortable 29-28 victory in this matchup. Next up, probably the best women's fight ever, and I don't think there ever will be a women's fight better than this. Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. This is a very close, competitive matchup, and I'm going to pick Zhang Weili. She has lighter woman's skill. I think she's a better striker. I think she hits harder. And I think moving up a weight class will really help her. I think she's going to be able to get in the pocket, land good shots on Shevchenko. We've seen Shevchenko's striking decline as of recently, and she's had to resort to more of a grappling-heavy approach. And with that, I just don't think the stockiness and even just the grappling itself of Zhang Weili is going to be able to get taken advantage of by Shevchenko. So I think Zhang Weili is going to get this one done by decision, like 48-47, maybe 149-46 scorecard. Like, I do think it's going to be a competitive fight. And I think the winner of this fight has a good case to be the GOAT of women's MMA. I know there's Amanda Nunes, who's probably still the GOAT even after this. But if Zhang Weili wins, she has a lot better of a resume at higher level competition because women's bantamweight really isn't at the same level that women's strawweight and flyweight is at. So I also want to see them kind of in the cage because I feel like there is a chance that when we get in the cage, Valentina just looks bigger. I know it's 5'5", 5'4", but I do feel like Valentina looks a lot bigger than Zhang Wei Li does. Yo, sorry, my mic got disconnected there. Sorry, technical difficulties. I'll edit that out. Um, so the odds, they're not out yet. Unfortunately, I would show you here, but I do think Zhang Wei Li maybe is a slight underdog, or it's a pick 'em, which is what I think it should be. And I know the stats here do look a little bit better grappling wise for Shevchenko, and the significant strikes definitely, the edge on the feet is to that. But I just think when we hit the mat, the stockiness of Zhang Wei Li and the strength, I think, is kind of gonna overwhelm Valentina in a way, and I think Wei Li's just gonna be able to keep it at space, but not at like kicking range, at like a good medium boxing range. I think Zhang Wei Li's gonna be able to land a combination, get out, land a combination, get out. With that being said, I do think it'll still be a very close and competitive fight. So, Zhang Wei Li by decision. Main event: Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. The, dare I say, highest level fight at 170 and above ever. I believe that this is such a good fight, and I'm going to pick Jack Della Maddalena to get this one done by decision, potentially even a TKO. Now, what this kind of comes down to, in a sense, is when you look at Islam and his fights, you see fights where he just absolutely runs through people. But when you see fighters with a full camp, they always give Islam problems. We look at Dustin Poirier, Volk the first time, even Thiago Moises. So these are the three people in the last, other than Bar Oliveira, in the last 5 or so years, or four or so years. Those are the people who have had full camps against Islam. And afterwards, Islam always looks like he's been ran through by a train. And JDM, he hits harder than those guys. I think he's just a better Poirier and Volk. Like, I just think if you take what is the good parts about both of those fighters, we see that kind of is JDM, right? We have the anti-grappling of Volk working with Craig Jones, the good scrambles and the Grambies. We see that in JDM, but I think he's a cleaner, more technical boxer than Poirier. He hits harder, definitely, and he has more volume than Poirier. Um, so I just think that we can see in this matchup, we can just see like kind of a more well-rounded approach for JDM that'll get this done on the feet. And then we also see something that I wanted to mention too. Islam doesn't really do too well against rangy fighters. If we're looking at even on the Moicano fight, if we look at the early stand-up against Moicano, Islam didn't really look like he was enjoying it that much. Like he looked not like worried on the feet, and that wasn't a knockdown. I know some people still somehow believe that was a knockdown from Moicano, but I just think when you have someone rangy on the feet against Makhachev, because he's good at keeping people at bay with his boxing is good, but I think when you have a rangy person, his defensive striking looks a lot worse. So JDM can fight that way. JDM has good tapping kicks. They're not super hard by any means, but that straight right and that straight left when he switches to southpaw, I do think is going to give Islam big problems, just tagging him from the outside. And I think at welterweight, Islam's going to be quick. I do think maybe that's where your argument for Islam comes from. He has lighter man skill. But I really think that JDM will be able to nullify most of the grappling because the times we see JDM get taken down, it's out in the open. He's really good against the cage. And out in the open, we saw Gilbert Burns and Basil Hafez in round one do this, where they were able to kind of get some good offense off against JDM from the center of the cage, but Islam doesn't do that. He gets to the cage, he tries to chain wrestle from the cage, drag you down with trips and body locks and hip tosses and throws of that such and that nature. But I do think that JDM's really good from that position, and he's good at staying. When he's on the fence, he's good at staying offensive, so you can't take him down. He's good at throwing up knees and elbows which I do think is going to be very helpful in this fight. We saw Poirier land a few good elbows on Islam. Uh, and I do think when you break a grappling situation, we see Islam always go to that tie clinch. And we saw Poirier kind of just start to rip body shots. I think JDM could do the same. Maybe throw knees, throw elbows in there. And I think JDM, I'm going to pick him to get this one done by decision. 48-47, 48-47, maybe 49-46 scorecard in there. But I could see like a TKO here. I really could see JDM finding a finish in this matchup with some sort of counter left hand or counter right hand. And I just think it comes down to the size and the power and just the well-roundedness of JDM. So that's my predictions for this fight. I'm gonna go through them again. Got Matheus Camilo, Cesar Kayev, Fatih McCline, Chepe Mariscal, GM3, Malcolm Wellmaker, Tracy Cortez, Roman Kopylov, Bo Nickel, Benoit Scamdeniz, Carlos Praches, Sean Brady, Zhang Weili, and Jack Della Maddalena. Thank you guys for watching. I might do another video before the fight, maybe on Thursday or Friday, but I'll definitely do reactions after. So leave a like, subscribe, and see you next time.